Welcome back for the second tutorial for Quantiloop. This tutorial we're gonna do some single track looping. So we're gonna focus just on one track. Next tutorial we'll focus on the rhythm and quantization, and we'll have another tutorial on multi-track looping and sync modes. So in this tutorial we're gonna focus on the first button, which is our loop 1 button or track 1 button, and on the stop button. The other buttons we will not use in this tutorial. And we're going to walk you through all the settings applicable. So let's go to the phrase edit first, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit reset phrase. That will actually reset all the settings to the system defaults, as well as clear the loops. So we're going to record a short loop here. We're not going to use a guitar, we're just going to use the voice. It's actually a little more easy to explain that way on how the looper works. And we're going to use the on-screen buttons, but obviously like the MIDI controller could be used. We've seen that in the previous tutorial. It's just a little more visual if you see me pressing the buttons on and off. So let's record a short loop on track 1. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A. You basically now see that I recorded a short loop. I pressed once, it started recording. I pressed again at the end of the loop, and the loop keeps looping now until I actually press stop. Let's press stop. So this is not a looping tutorial. If you want to learn more about looping, I think there's much better teachers around than me. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm mostly going into the Quantiloop functionality. One tutorial I can advise is Justin Guitar. I think he's one of the better teachers on the internet. He has a great tutorial on basics of looping. So I really suggest you go and look for that tutorial if you're a beginner. Otherwise, I think you should be fine with this tutorial, which will focus on the Quantiloop functionality. So let's actually start this track again. So now if I hit the track 1 button again, it will start playing. A, B, C, and we'll hit stop now. B, C, in the middle. D. And you'll actually see that it continues looping until the end of the loop. So this is the default stop mode. So you can hit the stop button anywhere, but it will actually complete the loop until the end. So let's go into actually different stop modes. If we go into the phrase edit, the phrase menu includes all the settings that apply to all the loops. It applies to loop 1, loop 2, and even to the rhythm. So we'll go into the stop mode setting here. You'll see that it is set to end. We could set this now to immediate. Now if we start to loop again, A, B, and we press stop, it will actually stop immediately. So let's again go to the fade setting now. And let's go to the setup menu. There we can actually see that there's a fade out time that we can set. Let's set this to 7 seconds, which is a global setting. We'll start the loop again. B, C, D, and we hit stop. Let's try it again. A, start, B, and stop. C, D, A, B, and C, it will fade out nicely for 6 seconds until it completely is stopped. So we'll switch back to the default mode for now to stop at the end. Okay, so we had basically one click to start the loop, to record the loop. Then the next click will enter playing, and then we discuss the stop. Another way of stopping the same loop is by starting B and hitting double tap on the track button. This will actually just stop the one loop instead of both loops at once, whereas the global stop would always stop both loops. So let's one more try for the stop. So let's start this loop. B, C. If we stop this now at the beginning, B, but C. If we hit the stop button again, it will still force an immediate stop. So now to clear the loop, we could either hold the track 1 button, or to clear all loops, we can hold the stop start all button, and it will clear the loop. Okay, now let's start looking at overdubbing. Basically, when we want to overdub, we just press the track 1 button again while it's playing. However, it won't start overdubbing right away. It will start overdubbing at the beginning of the loop. And let's try that now. Let's start playing.
A,
We start
B,
overdub.
C, D.
1,
A,
2,
B,
3,
D,
4. 1,
A,
2,
B,
3. And we basically
4,
now hear
1,
both loops.
2,
2,
3,
both layers.
D, 4.
1. We
A,
can now undo
2,
that action by
3,
holding the track 1
D,
button.
A,
And
B,
we'll just hear
C,
the
D,
original loop.
A,
And we
B,
can redo again.
3, D,
4, 1.
A,
Now,
2,
if you don't want to
3,
hold the button, we
D,
could
4,
actually assign
1,
a third button
2,
to undo redo,
3,
which
D,
is a
4,
little easier,
1,
and we press
2,
undo redo here.
C, D, A, B.
Okay,
C,
we now noticed actually,
D,
let's stop this
A,
briefly,
B,
that the loops actually they go through each other because they both have the same volume, and this is where the overdub decay comes in. If we go into the phrase edit, we see an overdub decay setting. When it's set all the way to the left, it means like the original layer will stay at the original volume. There's no decay, so both will sound at max volume. If we move it to the right completely, it will be completely overwritten. So the previous layer will be overwritten by the second layer. So let's now put it in the middle, for example, and we start playing again, and then we'll do another overdub.
A, B, C, D.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and
3,
you'll now see
4,
actually that
1,
the
2,
original
3,
layer with A, B,
4,
C, D is
1,
like less
2,
loud.
3,
This way you can
4,
do multiple layers
1,
and it's like
2,
it doesn't become
3,
a big mess.
4.
Okay, let's stop this again. Okay, then there's several other overdub related settings. We have the overdub mode. As I said before, it will start overdubbing at the beginning or at the end of the loop, and it will also end at the end of the loop. We can actually set this to instant, and let's play the loop again.
1, 2, 3.
Let's actually
4,
undo the overdub.
A, B.
So we're at
C,
the original A, B, C,
D.
D. Now
A,
we can actually at
B,
any moment in
C,
time just start
D.
overdubbing and stop
A,
it again.
B, C, D. A, B, 3, 4. A, B, 3, 4. A.
And you
B,
see that
3,
even for that
4,
small part of
A,
overdub, actually
B,
the volume of the
3,
original layer
4,
is decayed,
B,
and the new layer
3,
is added on top
4.
of it.
A,
Okay, let's
B,
stop this loop again
3, 4.
for another overdub setting, which we'll find here the dub after record. By default, like the order of the track buttons is to record, then start playing, and then start overdubbing. However, some people prefer to right away launch into overdub after record. So if we change this setting, and let's actually delete this track again, and let's record again, and we'll see that we'll launch into overdubbing right away. A, B, C, D. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and we stop the loop again. Before I had to press a button to start recording. However, sometimes when you're holding an instrument, you might not want to start recording by pressing a button, but when a signal is heard. So we can enable an auto record option there, which is this one. And you'll see actually now a red bar in the input window, and we can move that one up and down. So, and this is basically our threshold level. So as soon as the threshold is reached, it will start recording. I'll put it extra high right now because I'm talking as well, and I'll have to shout a little when we start recording. So let's delete this loop again. To start recording, I hit the track 1 button, but it won't record until it hears sound. So it's in rec ready mode now. I'm being quiet so it doesn't start, and now let's start recording. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, and it basically just auto records all audio. Let's switch the auto record off again. So let's briefly go to the track settings. Over here, from the track settings dialog, we can import loops from any other place. For instance, here from the clipboard, and save it into the track. We can specify a time signature, a number of measures. This is again not very relevant right now yet, and we can basically hit save. We're not going to do that for now, but then we can also export our existing loop to the same sources. We can export to the pasteboard, audio copy, iCloud Drive, Dropbox, and so on. Then we have the track length setting. Right now we recorded in manual mode, and we ended up with 1 bar, which we can see here. Now it's not very relevant until we start looking at the rhythm and quantization, how long our track is in bars. So right now we're not going to spend much time on this. In a next tutorial we'll look into this setting further. Then we have the one-shot track function. If we enable that, the track will actually just play once, and then stop, and any subsequent hit of the button will re-trigger the track. There's no way to overdub because the button actually functions as a re-trigger instead. Okay, we'll stop this again. Let's go back to the track menu. Then on the bottom we'll find actually some global overrides for dub after record, stop mode, and quantize. So basically, like all the options that are available in the phrase edit menu, the quantize, stop mode, and overdub can be overridden on a track level. So you could decide to have one track fade out and the other one stop immediately, for instance. Now these are more advanced settings, and I recommend beginners to stay away from them to not make it too confusing. Thanks for watching.